A battle between two Greek gods, the god of the sea versus the god of the underworld, Poseidon versus Hades. Out of these two brothers, who was stronger and would win if they faced one another in Ragnarok? We have a lot of comparisons between the two to make. First, in their introductions, right as it's revealed that Poseidon is the round 3 fighter for the gods, we have the claim that he's a top tier fighter, having Brunhilde freak out when deciding who can defeat him, considering Leonidas, Huang and Nostradamus, which is very telling as upon seeing Hades as the gods fighter for round 7, Nostradamus said, "Looks like the gods are going all out." However, Brunhilde had instant and absolute confidence in her choice of Huang. When it comes to Leonidas, he is fighting in round 9 against Apollo as the current round at the recording of today's video. We don't really know the extent of his power currently, but based off these panels, he was really never an option to fight Poseidon, and Nostradamus is already built up as most likely the strongest remaining fighter for humanity. With Brunhilde being so pressured, she almost chose him to fight in round 3, and didn't really show any confidence in this scene at all, until of course the Chad Sasaki came out with that flex. Now considering how Huang was an option, that would have most likely been her choice. This is because she wasn't aware that Hades would be a fighter later, not really preparing Huang as a counter for him in any way, but once again didn't have confidence even with that, unlike with Hades, which could have resulted from a number of factors. For example, humanity losing the first 2 rounds compared to the scores being back at a draw when Hades came out, so there are different circumstances, but still interesting to point out. Also, subscribing to this channel, I think that's pretty interesting and something you should do. Leave a like as well, it's greatly appreciated. When you have a look at the statements from various characters and the narrative, for Poseidon we have him being considered the Zeus of the seas, another direct comparison to Zeus and the claim that he's the most fearsome god. This gets some later clarification as it's referring to the gods of Olympus, which of course includes Hades, who even claims himself that Poseidon is the god most worthy to have the title of king. Pretty wild stuff. During Adamas's plan to overthrow Zeus, he felt that if he got Poseidon on his side, Zeus's fate would have been sealed. Pretty wild considering Zeus to this day is most likely the strongest character we've seen so far, and just adding Poseidon on his side gives him that confidence. Also due to the fear other gods have of him, upon requesting Adamas's removal from history, no one objected, with this fear of course connecting to his overall power naturally, with this once again making him seem more godlike than any other. For Hades, considering these interactions with Zeus, respect towards Hades is very clear. He was able to read the fight between Hajun and Buddha better than even Zeus, and Hermes as well, who's just been explaining everything in the series up to that point. Even the visual representation in this panel explains his reaction to Buddha's finishing blow. He could already see that this was the outcome, while everyone else was just freaking out, shocked, had no idea this was coming. Zeus also claimed that the gods need to win the next round by any means necessary, with Hades saying he'll go next, just leaving him stunned. Of course, he's one of the 4 chief gods. I don't think this should be used as a factor to say he would win in really any fight. Him being a chief god doesn't mean he's stronger than the gods who aren't chief gods. It's silly to say and pretty boring if you're just going to say that. And of course, he's the eldest of the 3 strongest brothers of Greece. And this strength is even known outside of the Greek gods, such as Beelzebub, understanding how strong he is and not really seeing a world where he would actually lose. Which, you know, he did lose, but still a pretty interesting statement. But the main situation that resulted in Hades getting all of this praise was during the Greek war, all the other Greek gods together dealt with the Giants invasion, which includes all the unknown soldiers, while Hades alone dealt with the Titans breaking out of Tartarus. A feat so impressive he even got respect from Poseidon, the person who he's fighting in today's video, showing a different side of him that we didn't get to see whatsoever prior to this. Also based on the Adamas reveal that he's still alive thanks to Hades, and if you look at the Poseidon flashback again, it seems like Hades saving Adamas is the reason Poseidon didn't completely kill him or finish him in some way, with this most likely being because Poseidon respects him, and of course this is why he's known as the most reliable god. Something pretty crazy is how Hades had just given Beelzebub this divine weapon, capable of amplifying one's power, but seems to not really work well with Hades' fighting style, as it may be specific to amplifying Beelzebub's power when it comes to vibrations. But considering we have this panel, him actually chilling with it, it most likely just naturally amplifies one's power, so just giving away something like that is pretty wild. Now to go over their skills, showings, abilities, all that type of stuff. Right away, the difference in their fighting style is made clear. Hades is about power and Poseidon is about speed. When it comes to attacks, Poseidon has done this, which already represents his speed well, and gets expanded on with him releasing more power as his fight continued, which apparently is still him not even trying according to Hermes. Then pretty much his ultimate attack here, the 40-day flood, so fast that his after images begun forming a dome, one of the craziest speed feats in the whole series still to this day. He was also capable of reading Sasaki's 1000 image defense reaction and find his blind spots. When it comes to power, he was able to break the volume, which is considered a divine weapon, so of course he's very strong as well. While Hades has these type of attacks, so strong that even when he misses, it still does significant damage. This is because the gusts of winds created from the power behind his attacks are also deadly weapons. Just look at Huang getting sliced up and the state of the arena. This is at the start of the fight, with Hades using stronger attacks and actually amping himself later on. He was able to survive his own power being sent back at him, having more speed, power and combat experience than Huang, which is once again interesting if Brynhilde was considering Huang as a fighter for Poseidon. But considering this statement from Hermes, Brynhilde most likely didn't know the extent of Poseidon's power, which also may explain how scared she was when he was revealed as the fighter. Hades is able to make divine weapons stronger with his blood, as I guess his innate ability. And then his most impressive power feat, he was able to break through his opponent's broken defensive move and a divine weapon as Huang's armor with a single attack, just piercing straight through a divine weapon. This includes Thor just laughing and all these other most likely top tier gods just being impressed by this. So the question is, which one of the two is stronger? When it comes to strength feats, it definitely goes to Hades. While both showed the ability to break divine weapons or have the power to do so, Hades was more so a step beyond with breaking Huang's shield and weapon in one attack, with this being his whole thing as a fighter pretty much. Poseidon likewise definitely gets speed, as that's his character, and Hades has nothing really close feat wise to something like this. If you know regular power scaling, Poseidon being faster is a huge advantage when both can damage one another, as of course both are capable of breaking divine weapons, and durability for characters isn't very clear when it comes to Record of Ragnarok. Of course, Hades was able to tank his own power sent back at him, I guess in combination with Huang's power as well, but him being stronger than a straight out divine weapon most likely isn't the case. Maybe he could tank a few shots, but if Poseidon is faster, that is a huge advantage. But once again, the degree in which he is faster is not really known as well, which is another issue when you do various what if battles for Record of Ragnarok. If you go off what both people actually showed during their fights, for example, all the attacks Poseidon used and all the attacks Hades used, and if you keep in mind that Poseidon actually respects Hades, so if they were to fight in an all-out death battle, he wouldn't really fight in the same way that he did against Sasaki, where he just stood there and allowed Sasaki to progressively get stronger, scan him and eventually surpass him at the end of the fight. That wouldn't really be the way Poseidon would take it, as once again this panel represents Poseidon having respect for him. He'll definitely go all out, potentially reaching his full strength that he didn't use until the end of the fight against Sasaki, to face Hades at the start of the fight, which includes the 40-day flood, which if you look at that and compare to anything Hades really did, yes, he was able to overcome Huang's, I guess, invisible attacks to some degree, even with the end of the fight being caused by this actually landing, but that was something else. He was able to overcome it on multiple instances which is very impressive, and Sasaki even considered these undodgeable, so Hades being able to overcome that is very impressive. And imagine him just spinning his weapon around, being able to block all of the 40-day flood attacks. That would be possible if Poseidon was kinda weak physically. Being able to break a divine weapon is one of the best feats for characters in Ragnarok, and every time that happens it does put characters in a different tier of power. So the fact that Poseidon was also able to do that and have this insane speed, I would say based on everything they've shown, he would or should win in a what if battle, but I'm guessing a lot of you won't really think that would be the case, probably due to the narrative of Hades and how he's kind of viewed as once again a chief god, even though I already talked about how that's kind of stupid. It does add some aspects to him being stronger in some ways. Of course, physical strength wise he is, maybe even experience he is as well. Once again, bring up this panel from Zeus talking about how he's faster, stronger, more experienced than the likes of Huang. But speed, faster than Poseidon, no. Strength, yeah. Experience, yeah. But I don't think the difference in those categories are to such a degree it will make up the difference in speed between the two. Of course, let me know down below who you actually think wins, your arguments why, do you agree with what I said, do you have something else that you found in the series? Just everything, so let me know down below. Check out the other stuff in the description, and shout out to these mad lads who support the channel via the Patreon.